Hi guys, just thought I'd make a quick video on wind shifts for you. So last week or 2 weeks ago maybe, we had a poll in the Facebook group and I asked if there was one sailing skill you could improve that would make the biggest difference to your sailing, what would it be? And by far and away the most popular skill was how to spot and react to wind changes. So there are two ways wind can change. It can change direction and it can change in strength. So in this video we're going to talk about direction changes and how to spot and react to them. So if you imagine the wind coming from the top of the board, that will create a no-go zone here. No-go zone meaning that if you sail any angle in that zone, you won't be making any progress, because when you go too close to the wind the boat stops. So you can't sail directly into the wind. You have to zigzag, go at angles. So you can sail roughly 40 degrees either side of the wind, either on port tack or on starboard tack. But it can be hard to work out exactly where the edge of the no-go zone is. If you sail this angle, of course, you're not going to make any progress into the wind. And obviously if you're sailing directly into the wind, you're not going to be going very fast. So generally, the further away from the wind you point, the faster you go, but obviously you're not going in the right direction. So we want to get the best blend of going in the right direction but also keeping speed. So generally that will be around this sort of area, about 40 degrees off the wind. At that point it's called your close haul course. But that course is dependent on the wind direction. So what happens when the wind changes? So there are two changes the wind can make. There's a positive one and a negative one. So if the wind shifts in front of you like it has done in this diagram, the no-go zone of course shifts with the wind, and that shifts your close haul sailing angle. So you're now sailing, you've gone from that angle to this angle, and that of course is negative if you want to get up here, because you're sailing at that angle, which is going to take a longer time for you to get up here than if you were sailing at this angle. So if a wind change pushes you away from where you want to go, that's what we call a header. So you can associate a header as negative. Alternatively, if the wind shifts this way like it is displayed in this diagram, the no-go zone will shift again, but this time it will shift this way, and that means your close haul course changes, so now you can head directly where you want to go. So that's what we call a lift, and a lift is a positive wind change. But because they are positive and negative, that depends what tack you're on. So a shift this way is great for someone on starboard tack because it allows them to head up here. But a shift this way isn't so great if initially you were sailing on port tack and that forces you to start sailing this angle. So it's all relative to what tack you are on. So you might ask, why do you need to respond to wind changes? So obviously if the wind shifts this way, and like it has in this diagram, if you don't respond and you keep sailing in the same angle as this boat, then you're going to be sailing directly into the wind, and that means you're not going to be going very fast. In this scenario, if the wind shifts right and you keep sailing the same angle as the blue boat, if you keep sailing this angle, you are not taking an advantage you could take. So you can sail up here and get to where you want to go quicker. If you don't realise that you could do that and you don't respond, then you're going to take a lot longer to get up here. So how you respond to headers and lifts is quite simple. To respond to a header, you just bear away to the new close haul sailing angle, and to respond to a lift, you head up to the new close haul sailing angle. But that's easier said than done, because the close haul sailing angle is of course invisible. So you have to use clues to work out where that is. So there are three ways we can work out our close haul sailing angle. The most obvious one is the little flag on the top of our mast, a burgee, and that should give us a good idea of what the real wind is doing and what angle we should be sailing to that burgee angle. Secondly is our telltales. So if you've got a double-handed boat, you probably want to be paying attention to your jib telltales. If you're in a double-handed boat, you want to be paying attention to your the telltale on the front part of your mainsail. And these telltales should just be streaming back horizontally. If they're going up in the air or drooping down, that's a sign that you're not sailing on your close haul course. And the third way to do it is just watch the front of your sail, and when you go too close to the wind, you'll see the front of the sail just starts to back a little bit and flap a bit. That's a sign you've just edged a bit too far into the no-go zone, and you need to bear away to get to your close hauled sailing course. So a header is probably easier to react to, because if you're in this position and the wind suddenly shifts, you're going to be in the no-go zone and the sail's going to start flapping, so it's obvious that you need to bear away. But with a lift, if you're sailing that angle and the wind goes right, then it's you're not going to get any sudden sail flap. So you're going to have to be a bit more clever about it. So my tip for this is always, as a general rule, when you're sailing upwind, always be trying to point up and testing the edge of that no-go zone. So always keep trying to slowly nudge up as close to the wind as possible. And as soon as you see the front of the sail start to flap, that's your point when you just bear off, and then you know you're on your close haul course. So hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions about what we just covered, put them in the comments below. And yeah, if you have any other questions, just put them on the Facebook group and one of us will try and answer them.